Hi, welcome to this week's Midweek Connection. My name is Todd Jordan. I serve as senior pastor here at Strawbridge United Methodist Church, and I am delighted that you have joined me. I am coming off a week at annual conference. As you know, our Texas Annual Conference met last week downtown Houston for its regular annual business meeting, time for gathering and fellowship. But for me, the highlight is always worshiping together. There's just such a good energy in our annual conference, doing amazing work and great opportunities of bearing witness in the world about Jesus Christ in the world through the United Methodist Church, specifically in the Texas Annual Conference. And just a shout out to our bishop and our leadership for another wonderful annual conference. It brings to mind for me Psalm 133 that says, "How very good and pleasant it is when kindred live together in unity. It is like the precious oil on the head running down upon the beard, on the beard of Aaron, running down over the collar of his robes. It is like the dew of Hermon, which falls on the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord ordained his blessing, life forevermore." Just such a great energy at annual conference. And so I've invited one of our recent graduates and students and young adults, Joanna Pence, who was there with Voice and Vote as a member of the Texas Annual Conference, to give us a summary of just kind of what were the highlights, what was some of the business, what we're about, and how annual conference went. So Joanna?
Thank you, Pastor Todd. This annual conference, we focused on the idea of reinvigoration. Bishop Harvey called us to a new way of being the church, to bring dry bones to life, to be unbound in our faith, and to actively stand against hate and injustice in our world today. We as a church must bend rules and push boundaries to ensure that Jesus' love is being felt. One major part of business this conference was voting on 4 constitutional amendments. The amendments focused on improving the church's power to make needed changes and working to increase inclusive language in our Book of Discipline. Strawbridge was represented by several student, young adult, and adult delegates. Another major part of conference this year was a new way of sharing ideas and listening to opposing opinions called the 3 practice circles. These circles consisted of an inner ring of participants that spoke to a framing question about an issue our church faces today, and an outer circle of observers that listened and asked follow-up questions, beginning with the phrase, "I'd be curious to know." In addition to Strawbridge adults, Strawbridge students were very present in these 3 practice circles and provided insight into our place in the church today. There were 7 student delegates representing Strawbridge this year, and we partnered with 6 other youth groups for a total of 21 students. Students were very active this annual conference and were represented in many parts of worship by leading prayers or reading scripture, asking clarifying questions during business sessions, and singing in the choir. In addition, 2 students, including 1 student from Strawbridge, felt a tug on their hearts to respond to the bishop's altar call at the end of ordination. Through participation in 3 practice circles, representation in the business sessions and worship, and support from the bishop, we as students were able to show the conference that we are not just the church of the future, but the church of right now. By the end of this year's annual conference, I truly believe that the church was in fact reinvigorated. We were reminded of our vital part in combating injustice in the world today and equipped with the tools we need to listen, to understand, and to be in kinship with one another.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for joining us for our Midweek Connection this week. I hope you have a blessed week. I look forward to worshiping with you Sunday. May God bless you.